So in the next part we will continue with our lamp and creating the lampshade. And for that we are starting, we will use a ball on this sphere. Normally I really rarely start with a ball, but this might be cool in this place. But the first thing we will do, we'll decrease our subdivisions. So as we have to do holes afterwards here, and there will be 6 of them, I will use 12 as a subdivision. And the first thing I will do is I delete half of it, because I will extrude here later on parts. And I will use this as base. So scale it and rotate it that it finally fits here quite well. Yeah, position is okay. And then I will take my edge here and do an extrude, a straight one, so I'm not changing into the normal scale mode. Now I change it to do it quite straight. Then I do another extrude. Push it out a little bit and scale it up. And another extrude. Oh. Be careful when I just switched here in the normal move mode, but be careful when you extrude, you use the manipulator which appears on the screen. Okay, so another extrude, then I scale it down, and the last extrude. Also scale it down here. It fits my form a little bit better. And what I can do actually but I will do this later on, to give them a thickness it's just a little trick. For example, when you take then the whole faces, okay, all of the faces, and do an extrude here, you can, when you push it, you see when I push it inside, everything gets black, what means that the geometry is switched, because I have an inner and an outer side of a face. And when I extrude it outwards, you see I get all over thickness. Okay, but I will do this later on, because I will in the first step create the holes and then do this thickness thing. Okay, so for the holes, I check here in my side view, switch on my X-ray shading. Actually, I could improve my form a little bit more. That means first of all, I extrude an edge loop here because I want there to be an hollow edge, and then I do another edge loop, and now take my edges, I made it do this a little bit thinner, and but be careful when you do this, always check if the form is still fine from all the views. And now I check here, okay, how big are my holes here. And what I do is I select these 2 or 3, maybe. I'm not seeing it quite well. Now I take all of them, okay? And I take, that's the reason why I took 12 as subdivisions, because now I can take every second row here. And so I can create my 6 holes. Then now I do all the holes at the same time, but therefore you have to be quite carefully. I do an extrude, okay? I don't do anything. I use the manipulators I have here, and I activate the quad and scale this part down. So you see it's scaling all the parts, because I just check here in the view how big the whole, okay, they aren't exactly on the position, but the scaling is okay. And I try, okay, this doesn't work when you take just another, it only works with the middle quad here, and I scale it even more, okay? So it's not too bad actually. And I push it also outside, but not too much, because the scaling was pushing it inside a little bit. So just be careful that everything is still on the same height. And now actually I delete it, okay? So, and when I press the 3 mode, you see my form is quite as the one I want here for the form. And what I now do is I try if my thickness is still working. So I take all of the faces and do an extrude. You can also push it to the inside, and then I do this just as an example. You can also push it here to the outside, and so you see, get thickness here everywhere. Also in the 3 mode, it still looks very nice. And when you push it to the inside, because you created it perfectly on the shape as the image is, you can also do this, okay? Don't go too far. But when it's black, sorry, you can go here to mesh, display, and reverse. So now you see everything's fine again. It just reverses your faces from inside to outside. Check here my geometry. Yeah, I think it's not too bad actually. What I do here is, when you want sharper edges, of course you can do this, you don't see it in the image. So what you can do is, for example, take here, insert edge loop. I take multiple edge loops. Insert edge loop, I take multiple, 2, because now it's doing it exactly in the middle, and so I get a little bit harder edges inside here, and I think this is a nice look. So also do this on the inner side here. Oops, wrong one. So do I have everything? Yeah. And I also do this here on the bottom side, because I want it a little bit more sharp, and maybe even here I insert another edge loop, but a single one, so I get back here to relative distance from edge. I want an edge loop to also here, because I want this a little bit sharper. There you go. And when we go back to the images, no, I will save my scene first. You see here this black little whatever rubber thing to do a connection here, and we will do this quite easy. We'll take actually a ring here, also decrease the subdivisions, because always work with less possible subdivisions, and rotate it and scale it. Just check here you can do here with the section radius. Actually, when you see this, how thick or thin your ring should be, okay, and I take it here to maybe 0.3 and scale it even more. Maybe it was too much, or no, too less. Maybe 0.5, 4. You have to try and experiment what will be good here, because it should be so it's just cutting into each other. That's okay for now for our basic form, but there shouldn't be a hole, so I just take my vertices here and push them even further here inside. And what I do to adjust my ring a little bit, I take here this edge loop, for example, and scale it down so that it gets a little bit narrow here, narrow. And I also take here, when I click one, and double click the one next to it, so my whole edge ring is selected, and take also the inner ring, and I just push it a little bit here inside my lamp, so I get a better connection, more or less. Okay, this is fine for our connection here, and the next step, of course, will be the inner part.